Today, we're diving into something pretty groundbreaking. It's a discovery that connects two parts of women's health that seemed totally separate, and honestly, it could change how millions of us think about a very, very common condition.
So let's start with a condition that is just incredibly widespread. I mean, so common that it touches the lives of up to 8 out of every 10 women by the time they hit 50. But here's the twist. What if this condition, which is often just dismissed as benign, was actually an early warning sign for the #1 killer of women?
Yep, that is the secret we are uncovering today.
All right, so first things first, let's get a really clear picture of the condition at the center of this whole story: uterine fibroids. So what are they, exactly? Well, uterine fibroids are basically non-cancerous growths that pop up from the muscle of the uterus. And for a lot of women, there are no symptoms at all, which is a big reason why they've kind of flown under the radar for so long. And when I say common, I really mean it. The US Office of Women's Health says that up to 80%, that is 8 out of 10 women, will get fibroids by age 50. That's just a huge number. Now here's where it gets kind of strange. You have this condition that affects nearly 26 million women in the US alone, but the study author, Julia DiTosto, says they are still, quote, understudied and poorly understood. How is that even possible? Well, that lack of understanding created a major blind spot. A blind spot that this new research is finally starting to shine a light on. For decades, right, the medical world pretty much saw fibroids as just a local issue, something contained to the uterus, and that's it. But lately, scientists started spotting some really interesting clues. They noticed that some of the same biological things going on, like inflammation and calcification, were the exact same pathways involved in heart disease. It's like finding the same fingerprints at two totally different crime scenes. So, of course, that led them to ask a really powerful question. What if having fibroids wasn't just some separate issue, but was actually a huge warning sign for a woman's long-term heart risk?
To get to the bottom of that, they went straight to the data. And the results they found, well, they were absolutely stunning.
Okay, here it is, the headline number. Women with uterine fibroids were found to have an 81% higher risk of developing cardiovascular disease. That is a massive jump. And this chart really puts it into perspective. Over 10 years, 5.4% of women with fibroids had a major cardiovascular event. Compare that to just 3% of women who didn't have fibroids. Now, those numbers might look small, but when you apply them to millions of people, that difference is enormous in the real world.
But this is the finding that's truly shocking, especially for younger women. For those who got fibroids before they were 40, the risk of heart disease was 251% higher. That is over 3.5 times the risk of their friends without them. Just wow.
And let's be crystal clear about what cardiovascular disease means here. We're not talking about small things. The study tracked the big, life-altering conditions: coronary artery disease, which leads to heart attacks, cerebral vascular disease, which includes strokes, and peripheral artery disease.
So the big question is, what does this powerful new connection actually mean? For women, for their doctors, what do we do with this? I mean, even the lead researcher, Julia DiTosto, said the connection was striking. And you know it's a really big deal when the scientists doing the work are surprised by just how strong their own findings are. And the rest of the medical world is taking notice. Dr. Stacy Rosen from the American Heart Association says this research really pushes for a shift in thinking. It's all about discussing the bigger picture and using a fibroid diagnosis to check on heart health, even in women who seem to have no other risk factors.
And it's so important to remember the sheer scale here. This wasn't some tiny study. We're talking about research that looked at over 2.7 million women for up to a decade. That's why the medical community is taking this so seriously. So where do we go from here? Well, this research has the power to completely change the conversation we have about women's health.
And look, it's really important to say that the goal here is not to cause alarm. It's actually the exact opposite. This is about empowerment. It's about giving millions of women a new and crucial piece of the puzzle about their long-term health. So what does this all mean for you or for the women in your life? It really comes down to a simple shift in how we think. First, just recognize that fibroids might be more than just a gynecological thing. They could be a marker for your future heart risk. Second, use that idea to start a real conversation with your doctor, specifically about your heart. And third, maybe start thinking about your annual checkups as a chance to look at your health as a whole, to connect all the dots.
You know, a discovery like this just makes you wonder, doesn't it? It proves how much we still have to learn about the human body. And it leaves us with one last fascinating question. What other huge connections about our health are still out there, just hiding in plain sight?